in one of my classes, but I'll just do it again to make the point. If I want to take this plant, okay, and I want to take this pocketbook, you'd think I'm very strange. I almost can't take them at the same time. If I take them at the same time, you're like, whoa, what are you, like no one can think like that. You're either focused on taking the plant and then you take the pot. You can't do them both at once. Why? Because the way we work is your right hand and your left hand, and I'm sure you could prove this in fancy, neurology classes too on how the brain works. They can only be devoted to one thing. So a husband and wife are like the two hands of a body, two branches of one tree, to stay in the motif that we've been building today. And therefore, when I say my father, I want to stress that, of course, I mean my mother too. Going back to the imagery of nature and how I grew up with this in my genetics from my father and mother, there's a pasuk that is in the tefillah, I'll read to you in a second, and my father says all the time, and now Baruch Hashem, it's become the mantra in my home as well with my children, to the point where you'll never find, I'm going to go that far, Mirz Hashem, you'll never find my children noticing a thing in nature without this pasuk. It's literally a training that I got from my father and mother that to appreciate nature without this pasuk is not appropriate. It's making it into something very void of Kedusha. Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem. How wondrous are your creations, God. See, if you're driving down the street and you see a sunset, you're like, oh, look at that, pink sky. But you say, Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem, you've now created a spiritual moment. When you go out, let's say with Leket, have you guys gone and done Leket yet with picking? Yeah. You go out to Leket and you see citrus fruits. You ever think to yourself, because I do all the time, why citrus fruits grow in the winter? Because vitamin C keeps you strong and with vitality in the winter. The Rabboni Shel Olam did something amazing. Summer fruits keep you cool. Winter fruits keep you healthy. So vitamin C grows in the winter so that you can access it. If you are out, and I know the alumni was smiling because a bunch of you went, and what did you pick? Oranges. You did it. In the middle of the winter, you're picking fruit. See, most of you pick fruit in the summer. But the oranges grow in the winter, and if you stand at that tree and you say, Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem, it is no longer technical, it is spiritual. It's funny, I just had a little chiddush. Hashem bless me in zchut of all of you. My daughters have been eating in school, what do they call passiflora in English? Passion fruit, okay. Passion fruit are in the height of their season here in Israel, and they grow on a vine. Has anyone ever seen them growing? It's magnificent. You got to see it, guys. So this is really funny. There's a passion fruit vine in my kids' school. And right away they said to me, Mommy, you're not going to believe this, but today we picked passion fruit, all of us, and ate it right off the vine, right there under the tree, under the vine. So right away their anal frummy mother's like, you can't do that, it's Shemitah. Shemitah, Maser. There's a halacha in Israel, I don't know if you guys know because you just buy it in the stores, but you're not allowed to eat fruit right off a tree. You have to, sorry. sorry. Actually, yeah. Thanks, Hannah. You're not allowed to eat fruit, hold on, sorry. You're not allowed to eat fruit right off the tree. It's usher. Oh, thanks. It's ain't the truth. She went to get it, so I don't want to make her feel. I appreciate it. Okay. You're not allowed to eat fruit off the tree because you have to do maaser, trumos, all these different rules. So my daughters, and they're holier than me, said, no. We learned, and this is true, by the way, that a gardener or a farmer is allowed to eat in the yard without trumos and maaseros. The halacha is that, let's imagine that you're picking the oranges. I don't know if you did it that day, but you were allowed. When you were picking the oranges, you were allowed to make a borei priya eitz and eat those oranges in the field. Did you guys do it? You're allowed to. Okay, good. Few. Okay. You're a holy Jew. Thank you. Okay. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Shehakol Nihiyeh B'Dvaro.
Amen.
Thanks, Hannah. You're allowed to just eat fruit in the field. It's a unique halacha. And now I don't know the actual darshaning of the psukim. You can ask, Rabbi Raz or Rabbi Meir later. But I'll tell you the interesting thing from my point of view, and this is the chiddush I just had. When don't you have to do a lot of rules with the fruit? When you're standing before the tree. Like, you see it. How can you miss the moment of the Rabboni Shalom? See, if I go into Super Soul and I buy an orange, it's kind of distant from the experience of the nace of what's going on. But my daughters were so elated to come back, and they said to me, Mommy, the passiflora is purple on the outside. By the way, that's the height of its ripeness. It's so hard to get them that way. They never sell them that way in the store because a day later they'll spoil, They're like, Mommy, they were purple on the outside, and we had hundreds of them. We just kept eating them under the tree, and of course, you're going to get sick. Okay, but then I was like, in all seriousness, I said to my daughters, wow, what an experience. We're so distant from it today. But it's interesting that the halachas, they didn't have to take Trumas and Maasros because they were right under the tree, because they had the holy experience in front of them. Marabu Ma'asecha Hashem. Where does that come up? In the Berachot Kriyat Shema. Find it in your sitters. In Hameir La'aretz. I just want to explain the phrase. Marabu Ma'asecha Hashem. How wondrous are the creations that you make, God. Kulam Bechachma Asita. You did it with wisdom. To allow the citrus fruits in the winter. To allow the stone fruits in the summer. To allow a system of consistency. If you remember what we said yesterday about the need for bumblebees, the massive miracle, says Rav Dessler, every day that we're witnessing, Tchias HaMeitim. Marabu Ma'asecha Hashem, Hashem B'chachma Asita, and this part is important too. Mal'ah Ha'aretz, the world is full of kinyanecha, your possessions. And this is the last limud I'm going to make today. It is yours. It is not mine. You see, this morning I took this plant. This plant is my daughter's Me'ira's plant. And I borrowed it for your class. I didn't take it without asking her. It's her, in theory, property. She planted it. She watered it. She left it outside of our yard for a week. It'd be a chutzpah of me to take it and walk off with it. In fact, it's called geneva, stealing. Mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. What are we saying every day? That apple I'm about to eat, it's your possession, God, with a capital P for possession. The Rabboni Shaloms. The water I'm going to drink, okay? And by the way, value this. A lot of your body's made up of this. It's your possession, Rabboni Shalom. Says Chazal, if I don't make a bracha, I've stolen from the Rabboni Shalom. I've been doing bal tashchit. I've destroyed something. Oh, I haven't destroyed something. All right, so I forgot a bracha, but I'm not pouring this water over my head. I'm not chucking it in the garbage can or down the toilet. I'm drinking it. I'm not destroying it. Yeah, you are destroying it. And I'll tell you why. Because if someone else drank this and would have made a bracha, because Mal'ah Ha'aretz Kevodo brought God's kavod into the world with Baruch Atah Hashem, and you took this water instead and didn't make a bracha, you stole the moment. And just like the water will never return unless it's a funky magic trick, it'll never come back to this cup. The potential for a spiritual moment will never be again. If I take an apple and I buy it from the store and I don't make a bracha, the potential for Kedusha is gone. I've destroyed the moment because I ate the apple. No one else will ever be able to be mashlim that Kedusha in the world. And that's stealing. It's his possessions. I make a bracha, I'm basically saying like this, and listen very carefully, this comes from the Sefer Hegyonei Halacha. That apple was on the tree. That passion fruit was on the vine. And it was screaming that there's a God in the world. Just like my plant from the onion is screaming that there's a God in the world. If I want to ingest that fruit, I better replace it with something else screaming that there's a God in the world. What chutzpah. I take it off the tree. You know, I'm picking for leket. What a chutzpah to take this gorgeous, magnificent orange that Israel's known for off the tree, that is screaming there is a God in the world, and to consume it without replacing it with another moment of there's a God in the world. See, because when I make a bracha on something, I'm stating there is a God. I am connecting the creator with the created. So if I don't do it with fruit, I don't do it with water, I am stealing the moment, I am stealing the possession of the Ribbono Shel Olam. Ma rabu ma'asecha Hashem mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. They are your possessions. Please write in your sitters if you want here. Any type of one-liner to make that point. One more point to close. Is a second moment I had in my tefillah this morning, and it should all be in schluss of, the Hebrew name of your...
Yosef ben Yaakov.
Yosef ben Yaakov. His yortzeit begins this evening, and the alumni is going to get the shiur too. His neshama should have an aliyah for the schluss of the whole program this morning. I'd like to end with my second moment. And again, these moments I take no credit for. My brother taught me it's the suchus of teaching others that you have these moments. So I thank each one of you. Okay. It says in the Shmona Esrei, and it's funny because I just taught in my class in Tefillah that if you don't have kavanah at the beginning of your Shmona Esrei, it's a downer from there. First of all, Chazal say you should start again. But even that, like, if you can't focus in those first moments, forget it. I get if you space out in the middle of a tachonein. I mean, not that it's okay, but at least that's human nature. Like, you know, that'd be commercial time on your cartoons at home. So, like, the attention span's been trained only for X amount of time. That's a joke, but okay. Thanks for the laugh track. I need one of those laugh, you know, like, okay. But how could you mess up in the first brachot of the Shmona Esrei? So right away I said that to myself before I started. I just taught it to my class. Better listen to it myself. So I had another moment. With this I'll close. We say in the second bracha of Gvuros, Ata Gibor Li'olam Hashem, Mechayei Meitim Ata. You are the one who resurrects the dead. Rav Lahoshia, you are like constantly saving. And then it goes on to say, Mechalkel Chaim B'chesed, that you sustain life. Look guys, sustaining life. You give us, roots. You let us eat. By the way, you know what's going on in Bishvat biologically? I don't know if you know, but the Shem Yishmuel told me the water season's almost up in Israel. And now the tree is starting to suck in and seep the sap. And it's slowly creeping up the tree. And very soon the first flowers are going to come. I'm very excited about that. It's like here in the year in Israel, a lot of you are turning the corner right now. And I know from personal meetings because the nutrients of 4 months here in Tiferet has slowly been seeping up that tree. And soon you're going to see fruit bearing trees, flowers and peiros for all the things you're working on. So that's Mechalkel Chaim B'chesed. But here it is again, as if I didn't just see it in the last pasuk, on piece of the Shemona Esrei. Mechayei Meitim, there we are again. Resurrection of the dead, second mention in all of 2 lines. Birachamim Rabim, with great mercy, you will resurrect the dead. Okay. Keep going. Look at the end here. Melech of the same paragraph. Melech, king. Meimit, you kill. Mechaye, you bring back to life. Umatzmiach. What's a semach? Does anyone know what smachim are? Plants. In the same sentence. You bring things back to life. The Ribbono Shel Olam. Plants and humans and everything in between. Yeshua, you are its salvation. That's the mention of Tchiyat HaMeitim in one paragraph, but wait. V'ne'eman ata l'hachaya meitim. What are we up to? The fourth mention in the same paragraph of Tchiyat HaMeitim. Baruch ata Hashem mechayei HaMeitim. The fifth. Who here has ever noticed that? I am 39, b'li ayin hara, years old. I've been saying Shemona Esrei since I was probably in first grade. I don't know, when do they start? I have never noticed that the same theme runs. I knew it runs. It's the end of the bracha. I pay attention. 5 times in 5 lines? It just shows you how little of... We have ADD, okay? Everyone in this room is diagnosed with ADD. Do we ever realize that? And then you'll say to me, that's kind of weird, like Tchiyat HaMeitim, like in the beginning. You want me to really pay attention to this, God? And you're telling me if I don't have kavanah right here, then forget about the rest of Shemona Esrei. Resurrection of the dead, are you kidding me? What about what Rav Dessler taught us? Resurrection of the dead is at our fingertips to understand. To see God as sustaining plant life, to see God as sustaining the humans, at the real trees, and the fake trees, if you will. That is Tchiyat HaMeitim. And yeah, that's why it's one of the Ikrei Emunah, says the Rambam. Because it's not about just believing in Mashiach and the resurrection that the dead will walk again. But it's seeing the resurrection of the dead every day in your life. It's seeing it. It's saying it in your Shemona Esrei. It's an ethic. It's a code for the way we should live. So to close, today's not just the day where we get Buxer Karen in Yavna Academy when I was younger. Today's not a day just to sort of, I don't know, maybe buy a dried apricot and eat it. It's an incredibly powerful day. It's a day, if you want to go get the Shiva Minim, go for it. Every one of them has its own skula, by the way. I bet you could even Google it online. Each one of them represents one's refuah, one's parnasa, one's children, one's a shidduch. Okay? So get very excited to look those up. Like Geffen, I'll give you one. Geffen is Inve HaGeffen. It has to do with marriage. It's something you say at a wedding. Inve HaGeffen davar na'u mitkayem. When you eat the Geffen, you think about the shidduch. For yourself, I'm saying. It's a powerful day. You can't let this day go by without the appreciation of the intertwining of nature, the created, and the creator, the Rabbona Sholem. And I'll end with one more point, and I'll really stop. There's an Agadata. That a person once was steiging away. I wish I remembered the Rav's name. I forgot. It just hit me now, so that's why. Steiging away, ay, ay, ay. And then he went outside. And he saw a tree. And he said, Ma na'eh ilanzeh. Wow, that's a beautiful tree. And I don't know if the tree went on fire or something went on fire. Does anyone know this Agadata? Anyone's ever learned it? But something like he was either Chayav Misa or like tree went on fire. I apologize. It just came to me now, so I don't remember the exact source. Maybe one of you will find it for me later. And I remember learning this when I was younger, and I'm like, huh? What did he do wrong? But now we know what he did wrong. You can't have one without the other. You can't learn all day and then walk out and say, wow, what a beautiful day. Let's go to the beach. You can't learn all day and not make a bracha on water. You can't learn all day and not see rain as something spiritual. They have to collide. And a person who compartmentalizes his life, a beautiful tree, let's learn Parsha, but doesn't know how to put the creator with the created, he's really missing the boat. I want to wish every single one of you a meaningful, spiritual, and blessed Tu Bishvat. Have a good day.